These lights are not friendly.
Why not?
They're just very clear, which is good.
Do you want them to be? I can dim them.
No, you're fine.
Good, because I don't think I could dim them. Here we go. Three. Oh, 3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody. It's your boy T. Roy,
And I'm your girl Shaka.
and we are here for Beauty and Beard. I guess we want to start off by saying Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Welcome to 2021. We are super duper excited for this upcoming year because 2020 was a whirlwind.
It was crazy. And I know everyone has their story about what happened. And there's probably a whole lot more content that could be added just sharing everything that happened. But this is us.
Yeah.
So we're going to share the highlights of us, what happened in our year. And we'd love to hear even from some of you guys.
So, actually, one of our first Beauty and Beards was us recording a Happy New Year's one. I think it was like our second Beauty and Beard that we ever did. And
No, it was more than the second. It was the one we started when we became consistent.
yes,
Yes.
yes, it
Yes.
was.
Because we had recorded a bunch before that.
Yeah, we did. One of the biggest things that that we wanted to happen this year was a celebration of our anniversary, but we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about in the section of things that did not happen this year. But we first we want to talk about some of the things that did happen this year, as far as stuff that happened. One is we became foster parents.
Yeah, we did.
We became foster parents.
We did. We actually started off as respite.
A respite.
We finished our training.
So explain that to them, what that means.
So we did a training process to become foster parents, and we I guess received word that we had been accepted or completed the process in early spring. I think it was like February or so when we got the sign off. But COVID happened, and so nothing happened for the year. And then at the end of COVID, at the end of the quarantine period, around sometime in July, we started getting notifications that they were considering us for different things. And so, so through the training, we realized that our schedules were not conducive to having a foster child at the time because we both work full time, and a foster child needs, I think if you can have the bonding period, it's actually really good. And to be able to have somebody who can stay home for a little while at least and give the attention and time. Plus, in our situation, the fostering service required that you have 24/7 adult care, adult supervision for whatever child you have. And we were looking at having a teenager. So good luck finding a babysitter.
And at the same time, this is during COVID, so schools aren't open. So it was a matter of, having, someone at the house with the child at all times.
All times.
And it was quite difficult. But what respite is when you are actually, you give families who have foster children a break from fostering for a period of time. So it first started off as a weekend. It started off as a weekend, and then the weekend, went to 2 weeks. Right?
Yeah. We actually we wound up having the foster child for a weekend, and then through circumstances, termination happened with the foster family, and we wound up becoming foster parents, temporary foster parents. So like literally overnight. Well, not even overnight, one morning.
Yeah.
And so for 2 weeks we had a foster child, a teenager in our home. And I mean, that was the craziest time of our lives. The idea of not being prepared at all to have a child full time in our home, to then having to drop everything and
Yeah.
make arrangements around another individual.
And the crazy thing about it is people trusted us with their children. Like, let's talk about that off top. Okay, we're godparents. So of course, the parents of the children, they trust us. We've watched their kids, we've kept their kids overnight, things of that nature, everything, so on and so forth, right? But this is an organization we just did training with. They really, I mean, we answered some questions, we did some documents and stuff like that. But do you really know us? But they entrusted us. The state entrusted us with a child.
Well, I should hope so. I mean, the training was a few months long.
That is true, and they did thorough background checks.
Yeah.
They made us go through CPR training.
They did home visits.
Visits, all types of stuff that we were prepared to do, and let's be honest. Like, truth be told, we started the fostering process when there really wasn't a good time. There's never going to be a perfect time. I've even heard that phrase when it comes to having children, like, or even getting married, because you're like, oh, I got to wait until this happens before this happens. And some things are legitimate things, you know what I'm saying? That you should, like, staples that you should have taken care of. But, we were looking at ourselves as like, we kept saying to each other, we actually said this from the time that we got married. Before we got married, we wanted to adopt. And so fostering to adoption is probably one of the more common. It's not the more common, but it is a common practice that happens because there are children in the system who need family homes to go to and to have consistency. And so these people entrusted us with their child, and the first week was great. It was great. A lot of calls, a lot of phone calls, a lot of appointments we had to meet and stuff like that.
A lot of moving parts. There was a lot to set up. Paperwork, like you said, appointments, and phone calls. And of course, imagine this is all post-quarantine, and so everything is still virtual at this point.
Yeah, everything is virtual.
It's not a lot of in-person anything. The first week was electronic documents and video calls and conferences and stuff like that, and phone calls. So yeah, very busy. It
was a very busy time. And so we ended up bringing the child in. And a quick plug real quick. This is not, and they didn't pay us to do this. I'm actually want to give them a shout out because they came through for us. So Shaka mentioned earlier, we work full time. And so, man, hold on real quick. Before I even talk about them, let me talk about this lady right here. Shaka took time to work from home. Okay. And like when she was working from home, she was full-time working from home and taking care of this child. Now, this child was minimal maintenance. You turn on Netflix kids, and they were watching cartoons all day. I forgot what cartoon they were watching the whole time, but I was like, look, you're going to quit watching this cartoon. You know me joking. You quit. We're going to watch We Bare Bears, okay? We're going to start watching them. We Bare Bears is pretty good. Okay. Anyway, so shout out to this lady who took out the time to not only work full time and help this child be here with the child, and then on top of that, maintain this child's schedule, appointments, and all that type of stuff. You are an all-star, and you are Superwoman. I have not seen anything like that since when my mother was taking care of me when I was a child. And I'm talking about my mom. She was Superwoman. My mom at one time was working like 2 and 3 jobs, and then would come home and be with me, and then take me to my appointments. And my grandmother was very was a very important piece of that puzzle. But man, you put in work. So for that whole first week, Shaka put in work. I could not be at home. I'm not trying to give myself an excuse like that, but it really hurt me, the fact that Shaka had taken on this responsibility. My job required me to be at work physically, and so I couldn't be there as much as I wanted to. So it hurt me and it pained me. And so I appreciate everything you did. What gave you, like, what was the spark, the thing that was like, I need to do this? You know what I mean?
It was real. I mean, it wasn't like a scenario where we were watching someone for a short period of time. It very much became, this is a new member in our household. And the idea that this child had already had a traumatic event happen in her life, and then this happens unbeknownst to her, as a surprise to us, like everything like that. And so it really just, it was the idea of caring for another human being. And I think the maternal instincts just kicked in. I mean, you hear this kind of thing happens when women have babies and stuff like that, and they just, how am I going to care for this child, and how am I going to do these things and stuff like that, and I don't feel ready. And then the baby pops out, and mama just totally exudes from these women. And so I don't know if that was a natural part of it, but everything, I think I told you, just everything that I had seen in the past just kind of came to my mind, like knowing how my mom took care of us and the things that she had to think about when she thought about us.
Shout out to Mama J.
Yeah. And all of our friends, like all the stuff they talk about with their kids, you know, those conversations do come in handy. But then also just knowing how to care for someone. I'm an older sibling, so I have younger siblings. And I have godchildren and things like that. So, and working with young girls too. I will say this: the one thing that was challenging was, we have a lot of friends who have little kids, but we skipped the little kid stage and had a teenager.
Straight to teenager, yeah.
And so I knew how to care for a young girl. That was different, but like the teenage aspect of it, I did have to reach out to my lifeline. Thank you, Anita. And and ask some questions about, like, what do I need to think about for a teenager?
Yeah.
You know, and so that kind of thing, because, you know, like, oh, I'm packing lunches. Well, we're not packing little, you know, juice boxes and fruit roll-ups and stuff like that. I'm like, what does do I just give the teenager money for lunch? Like, what? Sure. So.
And so, so shout out to Shaka for that. How did you think I did? Well, hold on. Well, yeah. How did you think I did? Because we just gave you praise, and let's be brutally honest. You can negative, good, bad, or whatever. I don't think I've actually asked you that question. We've talked about this a lot, but I don't know if I asked you that specific question. But how do you think I did?
I think you did really well. You were definitely like the caring aspect of you, and I saw the Papa part of you come out, the part that naturally wanted to protect her and make sure she was okay. And even, like, I must say, in terms of talking to the individuals from the organization, like the case manager and stuff like that, he was thinking outside the box and asking, like, some of the questions in order to make sure we better understood what we were doing and getting into and stuff like that. And so really helpful in that. But I think the biggest help for me was you made sure that while I was tending to the house and taking care of her, that I didn't have to worry about anything else outside of the home, or like some of the things that normally we would take care of together. You picked it up, and you're like, hey, you just focus on this part of it for now, and I'll make sure everything else that we have, like we the Burnett's have going on, is taken care of.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well, I appreciate you on that one. Also, so the first week Shaka stayed at home. The second week, it was a quick turnaround. A local organization by the name of Jubilee Family Development Center. If anybody was a part of my my fundraising thing that I did at the end of the year, that's where all my money went to. Man, I'm telling you, this organization, quick turnaround. they were able to give us daytime care for our foster child while we were at work. They called us whenever we need to. They close at a certain time, but they stay behind in order to, like, activities are done at a certain time of the day, but then at the end of the day they'll stay around until all the kids are picked up, and Shaka and I will pull up and come pick up our foster child. And
we were both walking in together. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Like both dropping her off and getting out of the car and dropping her off, and then both getting out of the car to pick her up.
And here's the thing: it's a female. We had a female foster child, and one thing I wanted everyone to know there is that I'm present. Okay, so not necessarily like the administrator or anything, like administration or anything. I'm talking about like the little boys and stuff like that. It's like, hey, I might not be daddy, but I'm daddy.
Yeah.
And y'all gonna recognize that I'm up in here. I don't think it was really too much to worry about, but I kind of flexed for no reason at all. But anyway,
it was good.
So they came to our aid at the, at the 9th hour. I think the 12th hour. That's
11th hour.
The 11th hour. One of those hours, they came in and they helped us.
Yeah.
With having daytime care for a foster child. And then
I want to say thank you for that too, because I did a lot of calling around trying to find places. I also want to shout out to our church because they have an organization called Safe Families, and the lady who operates that was very helpful in connecting me with someone in the community too that was willing to help us out and be a backup if we had needed. So even our church stepped in, but the Jubilee Center, oh my goodness, we could not have done it if it wasn't for you.
If it weren't for y'all.
Thank you. The summer program, if you have an opportunity and you're local in the area and you're looking for something for your child to do, I tell you what, they even rocked out activities in the midst of COVID.
Yes.
Like they made sure that there was stuff for them to do all day, and she enjoyed herself.
And here's a funny thing. She was so scared to go. And we dropped her off the first day, and the next day she was talking about it, and the way she was talking, the same day that we dropped her off, picked her up. The way she was talking, I was like, I don't know if she really likes this. I'm not sure if she really likes this. But we got home that day, and she was like, so am I going back tomorrow?
Yes.
And I was, yeah, most definitely. You going back. You ain't got, even if you didn't like it, you was going back. So yeah, man, we're so thankful. The kids were safe. Health wise, there were no instances of COVID, no scares or anything like that. Kids are durable, so they probably would have got it and just wouldn't have thought anything about it. But it was, we're so thankful for you guys. Quick plug, make donations to them. They're amazing. And so week 2 came up, and we were going to gear up for having our foster child for longer term than respite, because we were actually keeping her until they found a long-term. This was the second respite we had with her, and then we're looking for a longer-term adoptive family, and we were actually going to keep her for longer, but it didn't work out in our favor for that, and so we ended up having to. What's the word I'm looking for?
Terminate.
We had to terminate the foster for her, so she can be placed with the family for long term, because unfortunately it wasn't going to work out for us. We were hurt. We were hurt for that instance. We were definitely hurt from that instance. Not necessarily anything on our behalf. Let me make that clear. Okay, we didn't do anything wrong. But there's stuff that we can't really go into details about. But we do. We talked about it today actually, about we want to give it another shot.
Yeah, it was just, to be honest, again, the one word we would use is that was a very traumatizing experience for us from beginning to end. It happened in a way that I'm assuming doesn't traditionally happen, and it ended in a way that I'm assuming it doesn't traditionally end.
Yeah.
And so when you are just going about your life, even in respite, they call, they tell you you're going to have a child for a couple of days. And so you make these plans and arrangements and you're ready. And then for it to turn into fostering the way it did and as abruptly as it did. And then again, your whole life changes in a week. You're now no longer just making sure that you have a couple of meals for a weekend. Now you're actually looking at having a room arrangement. I mean, making phone calls and connecting with schools.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Moving medical stuff. All of that. You
stuff.
Actually have a full-blown child.
Yeah.
And so your life changes drastically in 24 hours. Because by then you've pretty much set up shop. Like the child is moved in and their life is starting to transition to your home.
Yeah.
And you are taking on full responsibility. And for all of that whirlwind of activity to happen in a matter of 2 weeks and then to just as quickly as it started to abruptly end.
Yeah.
And again, to end in the way that it did, it was a lot.
It was a lot.
And so when it was all said and done, I think my husband and I were just like in this high adrenaline rush of everything going on. And then the next day when the child was there, and then the next morning when we woke up and she wasn't anymore, it was strange. Yeah. I think you and I sat and just kind of talked a bit about it, and we were like, what just happened?
Yeah. Because we were having breakfast together every morning all the time.
It was like, what just happened? We had a child and now we don't.
Our routine changed.
And as the days went by, we realized how affected we were by that whole situation.
Yeah.
And that's why I said we then realized too that was a traumatic experience. Like in trying to look out for the child and take care of it, you don't really think about it and all the stuff that happened. And when it was all said and done, we realized, wow, this was our very first experience, our very first respite, our very first fostering. And it happened in a way that it should not have happened.
Yeah.
And so we've decided for a period of time, and other stuff kind of went into it, but we decided to take a break.
We're on pause.
Yeah, we're on pause.
Well, and a lot of that too is because we realize our lives right now are not necessarily structured to have a child in our house. We're both working full time, and we it is really hard to shake not being in the office for us right now. But one thing I do say, and I think I already mentioned this before, there's no perfect time. And even in the midst of all of this that we just mentioned, we're going to give it another shot.
Yeah.
When opportunity comes up.
I do echo what you say when you say there's no perfect time, but there is a way to be prepared. And
true, we were not.
One of the things I would definitely say, well, we had said we were just going to be respite because we knew we weren't completely able to care for a child 24/7 long term. And so again, we wound up being foster parents through circumstance. We had said we were just going to do respite. So when we had to switch over, I think the one thing that you definitely want to make sure, I mean, like you said, you never know when you're going to get a child if you decide to foster.
Because it's just a phone call.
Yeah, literally. And in an hour, they're telling you that a child is going to be in your house probably by the end of the day. But the one thing I will say is make sure you have backup. Like that is call. So when you said you never be ready, I'm like, no, there's one thing you can definitely do to be ready. Make sure you have a secondary individual in your life and even a tertiary individual in your life who is willing to help you in this situation, especially if you're working. If you were to get a child and you're going to foster and you can't be with that child 24/7 or, more of the day than not, then you want to make sure that, well, first of all, think about, is it a time for you to be fostering? That's one thought. Can you offer a child the care and attention that they need because they're traumatized, and they need that bonding period? But also if something should happen, like a snow day, especially if you have a teenager, do you have a place for this child to go? If you can't take off work and be there, do you have someone else who can come in and cover for you?
Yep.
So those are things that we at the time were not ready for because we had not planned on being fosters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So that's a really good note. So so that was our fostering experience.
yeah.
That was our fostering experience.
Sorry, just one more thing. It is a good thing though. Like
Most definitely.
honestly, we've talked about it now that we've had some months have passed and we've had an opportunity to kind of realize and think about the whole situation more. But it really is still a good. If you can do it, I would never tell anyone don't do it.
Most
I would
definitely.
never. I would just say really, really assess what you are committing to before you do it. But I would definitely still encourage people to foster or adopt.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Or respite.
Also some things that happened this year. We didn't celebrate our anniversary
The way we wanted to.
We were supposed to go to Hawaii.
We were supposed
to go to Hawaii, people.
Hawaii, guys.
For our 10-year anniversary. And instead, we went to Raleigh, North Carolina.
No, we went to D.C.
Oh, we went to D.C., Washington, D.C.,
yeah.
which is better than Raleigh, North Carolina,
but lived
still,
in Maryland.
It's no Hawaii.
We used to live in Maryland, and so D.C. was like a regular. And he's gone to so many conferences in D.C., but it was still nice to get away.
I really love, the one thing I like about D.C. the most is I love getting on that metro.
Yeah.
Like getting on that metro, you could go anywhere you want to around the city. We didn't have public transportation growing up in Martinsville. You had to have a car to get from A to Z, A to B or whatever. So being able to ride the metro was super duper fun. That's one thing. One thing I did not like about DC is that, so in Virginia, you got to wear your masks inside of buildings when you're in contact with people and so on and so forth. I think DC at the time, which is doable. We're happy to comply. But when in DC, people were like outside in the regular atmosphere, walking around with masks on, with no one around them. I'm like, yo, let's breathe.
Yeah,
Let's
Troy walks
breathe
out
air.
of a building and he's like,
oh my gosh, yes. As soon as I step out that building and I'm beelining to my car.
But I mean,
that mask comes off.
But in DC, I mean, the one thing you mentioned too is they are going between public transportation, like so from one location of like commercial location to the other right away. If you're coming out of a building, you're probably just walking around the corner to a coffee shop.
Yeah.
So everything is like a short walk away. So they're not hopping in a car to go home. So it probably makes more sense to keep a mask on. And then, the area is not always the best in terms of hygiene and things like that. And so, and there are more homeless individuals and stuff like that. True. So the extra precaution I can appreciate.
Yeah. So we went to DC. We hit up the
Bible Museum.
Which is super dope.
That's sweet.
It was super really dope. They had some exhibits down which we couldn't go to, but that was okay.
Still took a whole day.
It took a whole day. Yeah, we walked into the first part and we were in there for a solid hour. In the first floor, like right wing of the building. And we were in there for an hour. I was stuck in the first room because it was talking about the history. One of the things that I wanted to see how they were going to take on how the Bible was utilized here and by the settlers, and their and how it was used with during slavery and things of that nature. And I do believe, in my personal opinion, that they did a pretty good depiction. Like, they didn't shy away from the ugly history. They did not shy away from the ugly history. They definitely called out the things that needed to be called out and stuff like that. So I greatly appreciate that. I can't remember the things off the top of my head, but
I do.
You do?
Yeah, like they actually called out slavery and how biblical, how the Bible was used in terms of slavery and
Like to be manipulative.
yeah. And then they also talked about how America was settled. Like they didn't shy away from that and how that was even used, and they talked about even some of the conflict I think that happened between the church and that made individuals like break off and start doing other religions and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they didn't shy away from a lot of things.
Yeah.
And they had whole sections dedicated to giving you the history and artifacts from those time periods showing those things.
Yeah, it was super dope.
Yeah, it was good.
I highly recommend that, you know, if you can get a chance to go. Even if you don't necessarily believe in the Bible, it's still good to go and get some good information from there. By the time we got to the last floor though, like I was pooped.
Yeah,
I was ready to go.
I think there's like 4 or 5 levels, and one of the levels was closed.
Yeah, one of the levels was closed.
And so it's a lot of walking. I kind of compare it to the Ark encounter.
The Ark out in
Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was dope.
These are both amazing exhibits, and you need a full day to go through them. And if you get a chance, I definitely highly suggest that you visit both, and the Creation Museum, which is a separate thing as well. So you're going to need a day for each thing. The thing about the Ark Covenant and the Bible Museum, I think that makes it take so long, is there's a lot of reading.
It's a lot
of reading.
Yeah.
And so it's literally like going through a museum, and
it is a museum.
Yeah.
I guess you could say.
But I mean, like, you know, I think I thought it was going to be more of, not reenactments, but like more statues and more, kind of pictures and images and things like that you would go and look at. And I didn't expect it to be more like a Smithsonian kind of exhibit. And so I think I was surprised by the amount of reading. So I say that to say it's really cool if you are old enough to read it and look at it. It's really cool in general.
Definitely not meant for kids.
Yeah, just know if you're going to take a little one, like
they're going to be bored out of their minds.
There's not it's a lot of reading.
I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd for, I didn't realize I loved history. I really like history. I like recently I've been studying a lot of history. And when we got there and they had all this historical information, I was like, man, I want to soak up every moment. I think at one time you actually tugged on my coattail and was like, hey, let's keep it moving.
It was
because
Bible
we didn't really
floor.
have too much time.
Yeah, it was the Bible floor because
the Bible floor, I was ready to get up out of there.
Oh, I feel like it was because it was like, oh, look, there's like 500 versions of the Bible.
Yeah, it's like 600,000 versions
and every
of the
single
Bible.
one has its own display.
And it's like this person did this version and all this type of stuff. The Gutenberg press.
Yeah.
That was super dope. They even had an exhibit talking about like how God is used in music and stuff like that.
Oh,
and
that was cool.
That was super cool because we walk up in there and somebody, I don't know if we picked it or somebody else picked it, but playing. You walked in there as like, Jesus walks.
So it was like a
like they was playing Kanye West.
So in context, like he said, they were showing how God is used in music, and in so culture, and so they were playing different songs where there was a religious theme. Yeah, and so they were the edited versions and stuff like that. But they were and there were words that you could look at. So they were just showing you how the influence that it has on individuals, and how, like, I guess some individuals have a spiritual background. Sure. That even though they may not do like Christian music or what have you, it still heavily impacts their life. Influence, yeah. But I will say too, the Bible Museum had a lot of great interactive
it did
things as well. So it's not just reading.
One of the things that I'll mention this piece. This is one of the things that stood out to me was the part where they showed how it has impacted inmates. Mm-hmm. And families of people who have been impacted by inmates, like an inmate killed someone, but that family wanted to reach out to that individual and just say, hey, you're forgiven and stuff like that, and how that forgiveness and relationship with Jesus was really transformative for the inmate and the family's life going through those tough times. So yeah, man, they had an exhibit like to that, to where like you were inside of a prison cell, and you got to watch these videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Man, it was super dope.
It was pretty cool. I
It was
remember
pretty
that
dope.
one.
So yeah, but then we went to the zoo.
Yeah.
The zoo was
The
dope.
zoo was nice. Although,
I didn't realize that was there. Is the zoo free? I
yes,
forgot.
the
Okay,
zoo
it was free.
but
Okay.
but you had to so the zoo is part of the Smithsonian exhibits.
Okay.
And so if you go to DC during COVID, we will say that they are requiring that you have a reservation for the Smithsonian exhibits.
True.
And so even though these things are free, you have to go online and register to go to them for a specific time slot. And so you can't just walk up to them and go in, and then a lot of them were closed. Now, this was also October, so it might be different now.
Sure.
But a few of them were closed. Like we weren't able to go to the Holocaust Museum. I've been there several.
Were we trying to go to the Holocaust? I don't remember.
I mean, I wanted to really be a DC tourist, and so
I want to go to the Spy Museum.
Yeah. So
but it was closed.
Yeah. A lot of different monumental buildings and things were actually closed.
But yeah, the zoo was dope. They had the elephants
Yeah.
out there. They were doing the elephant thing.
We didn't get to see the pandas because the panda just had a baby.
Yeah.
And so the exhibit was closed so that mom and baby could bond.
Saw some monkeys.
We saw lots of monkeys.
This cheetah was out there just chilling. Like, it was so beautiful.
Remember the lion?
The lion?
Oh
my gosh. The lion was crazy.
Ooh.
Because, I mean, normally, I'm not sure if y'all have ever been to a zoo before. Normally, when you go see these animals, like, they laying around, like, man, y'all quit looking at me. I'm just out here because they pay me to. And I'm just waiting to get fed. No, these animals were up, out and about walking. And you can tell that this lion was full man.
Yeah, every exhibit we went to, the animals were moving around, and so it was really good because you could see them, like you could see their full structure in action. So when the lion walked, and it just kept pacing back and forth, and then it went to drink. I mean, everything from the mane moving to like the muscles in the body, like you could literally just watch it stride. And the cheetah and the leopard, same thing. Like they were like stealth, just the way they moved from one side of the exhibit to the other. And the
cheetah looked like he was about to kill something.
Yeah, like
it was ready to bite something.
How can I get out of here and attack you? Like, I'm hungry.
I'm pretty sure he would have jumped over that fence if he could have.
Yeah, it's like he was walking back and forth trying to figure out, how can I get out?
We care to talk about the argument that we had on our anniversary?
I don't remember.
Well, we end up having, I don't remember it either. Yeah. And see, that's the crazy thing, man. That's one thing I love about us. Like, we don't be, like, when it comes to arguing, we didn't argue. There was a misunderstanding. I think at one point you thought that I was trying to rush us, but I wasn't.
Oh, no, I know what you're talking about. And no, it wasn't that. So it was when we were in Georgetown. So
yes, it was in Georgetown.
So we went to Georgetown and
got some cupcakes.
Yep. Which is my favorite thing to do. That was at my request. And so we had been out all day at the zoo, and we were only there for a few days, and literally each day we did something different. But Troy and I have this bad habit of starting our days late, and so it limits us. And excuse me, the one thing I will say, during this time right now, people are still operating on limited hours. And so when we were going places, like, for instance, one of the most frustrating things about being in DC is every single coffee place was closed except for Dunkin' Donuts. And by closed,
Starbucks was open.
By closed, I mean, like, they were closed. Like, they were like, we're not serving either past this time, and past this time meant like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. or we're not open at all. And I'm talking about coffee chains that you would go there and think there's one on every corner, and there literally was, and they weren't open. And so we had that same experience everywhere we went, where we had to try to do stuff within a certain period of time. Because even the Bible Museum closed at like 5, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the zoo closed at like, it closed early too.
Yeah.
And so, so we went to the zoo. We stayed there till it closed pretty much. And then I was like, hey, this is our last day. I still really want to go to Georgetown and get my cupcakes. Now, we haven't been to Georgetown in years. And we live in the country. I'm just going to give my little personal experience. We live in the country. And so when I get to go to the city, I love exploring the city. Like, there's still so many things in DC that I wanted to do that we didn't get to because it's just my idea of going to the city. And so this last day, like my husband said, we went to the zoo. He was exhausted at the end of the day. And I was like, can we please go to Georgetown?
I was actually good.
Get my cupcakes and walk around. Now, I wanted to go into places and look at some places. I knew I couldn't take him into every store because that wouldn't have been fair. But there are some that I wanted to go into. And there was a time when you made a comment. You said, I think we went into one of the stores and you said, hey babe, let's just go get the cupcakes.
I did not say that at all.
Okay, well, something.
Because I'm going to tell you why I didn't say that. You kept rushing to want to go get the cupcakes. And I was like, babe, your pickup time, and like everything else, like the zoo, you had to have like pickup times. And so they were like, come at 4:30. And she was like, well, we need to get there. It was maybe like 2, 3 o'clock. She's like, let's just go get the cups. I said, babe, they're not going to close without giving you your cupcakes before this time. We got time.
I think our pickup time was actually later, and you said let's go earlier because we got there and I think we had an hour until our pickup time.
No, because I remember distinctly saying,
okay,
babe, don't worry, they're not going to give your cupcakes away. Because I was like, why are you so, I kept thinking to myself, why are you so afraid that they're going to give your cupcakes away?
So either way, it was about going to get the cupcakes. And the long story short is I did not feel that I could enjoy walking around Georgetown with the way I felt my husband was how I perceived he was feeling about the whole experience.
Yo, so, I was chill. And
so I just wanted to go. I was like, right. And my thought is I'll come back another time, either by myself or with my girls, and be able to enjoy it the way I want to.
And when it's funny, she wanted to go because she thought I wanted to go. I wanted to stay, even though I felt like she was trying to rush. And I was like, what is going on? And it made for an unnecessary Cold War for like the next couple days.
So a question, what made you bring that up?
I just wanted to show people that we argue.
Yeah. Okay.
And that we're still together.
That was just really random. And is that why? No, that's not why you had that note there.
No, it's not. The still together part. No.
Yeah, I was like, that's why you said that.
Part of the reason why I said we still together is because we spent a lot of time together during COVID. I want to touch on this lightly, and then I want to move quickly to talking about your birthday. We spent a lot of time together during COVID because we had a long period of time where we were working from home and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And we used to have this time period of where after like 2 to 3 days, we would not like each other because we would invade each other's space. And we were like, hey, man, when you leaving again? But during COVID, we spent every single day together. Yeah. And we loved every moment. It was nice, fantastic. It was good to be home. Yeah. It was actually good to be around each other. I don't think we didn't grow tired of each other.
Mm-mm. And we also like picked our workspace.
That's true.
And so like
my Shaka's workspace is at the table. Mm-hmm. My workspace is the house. So,
yeah.
I'll be in the basement one day. I'll be at the table. I'll be at the couch. I'll be upstairs. Yeah. But yeah, we're still together even through COVID. One of the things that COVID, I know COVID has had a lot of bad things. We've lost family members during this time. We've had a few funerals. during this time, and one due to COVID. Actually two.
Yeah, two.
Two
At
due to
least
COVID.
two due to COVID.
And another funeral that happened. It was I guess natural causes, but
Well, one of them didn't have a funeral.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so, but however, there was a part of it that was like a silver lining for us. Shaka and I, we were always go, 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 go.
Mm-hmm.
And this actually gave us the opportunity to like slow down.
Yeah. It forced us to stop, which was really good because we needed it. We're so used to having something going on at every moment that being home and not being able to leave allowed us to maximize our time.
Yeah.
And not try to rush to get stuff done because we had somewhere else to be or another obligation. And then even as it started winding down in terms of quarantining, like I keep saying winding down like it's over because it's not. We're still in it.
Yeah, we're still in
But
quarantine.
like even once quarantine was ending, we found ourselves still saying, "Hey, we can't do everything after work." Like we still wound up saying no to some obligations because first of all, we were like, this is really good for us to just stop. But we also realized, hey, we don't have to say yes to everything.
Hey, people was inviting us places. Nah. Hey, can y'all? Nah.
No.
Can we? No. No. What do y'all think? No. We're just gonna stay at home.
Yeah.
And I found that there's peace in saying no.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
There's so much peace in just saying no, not giving excuses or nothing like that. Not saying, maybe all. Like, nah, bro. Nah, sis, I can't. Nah, I'm not.
Yeah.
I can't do that right now.
And some people actually understood. Like I think a lot of the individuals that we speak to understood why we had to say no and things
Sure.
like that, but at the same time there were individuals who didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were individuals who don't necessarily look at this pandemic as being as extreme and as other people are looking at it. And so some people did give off the impression they felt we were being extra. And it's like,
if you thought we were being extra, let me know, because I will let you know.
Yeah.
That we were not. Kindly. So that was like a silver lining for COVID. But so we missed our 40th. I'm not a 40th. We missed our 10th year anniversary going to Hawaii. We really wanted to do that.
I was looking forward.
Me too. But one of the biggest things, one of the hugest national monumental celebrations that we missed this year, and we weren't able to do it to the fullest as we wanted to, is Shaka's 40th birthday.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the plan because I think I'm just going to move it to another year. Because I even thought about saying, let's just do it in 2021. But there are so many things in 2021 that we want to make up for that didn't happen in 2020.
That's true, yeah.
That I think at this point, I just need to kind of let it go. I'm not the only one who missed a big monumental birthday. But I was looking forward to this experience for the last few years.
Yeah.
And I had... my birthday's in January, and so I don't like to plan. We talked about this in another podcast. You're going to have to watch it to find out why I don't do the January birthday
It's your
thing.
birthday. Look it up on YouTube.
Yeah, I almost gave that away. That's a good plug.
Yeah.
And so I was going to have my birthday in the summer and have an event then, and it was going to be really, really cool.
Yeah.
And, once COVID hit, the date that I originally had, I was like, okay, let me move it to a little bit later. And then as we started progressing through the spring, I was like, I think this is even going to go into that later date. So I was like, you know what? We're not putting that money out and losing it. So it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah. We did celebrate Shaka's birthday,
We
though.
did. It was
good. We went to Wintergreen, and shout out to everybody who contributed to Shaka's birthday video. That was super duper dope.
Yeah.
And it definitely did her. Like, it did her. I think I have a reaction video that you did.
I think so.
Recorded you reacting to it.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who did celebrate my birthday in spirit on Facebook and Instagram, through the video that my husband did, especially anyone who sent in a little clip to wish me a happy birthday. If I did not hit you up, because I tried to I think the next day go in and send thank yous personally to every single person in the video. And I think there was like 40 people in the video. I don't know. But like, if I did not send you a message, I probably didn't have your contact. But thank you so much. It meant so much to me. And babe, thank you for putting that together.
Well, you know, somebody had to.
Like, and I'm done.
Give me my props.
You got it.
No, in all honesty, babe, you know, I joke and I say give me my props, but in all honesty, like, you really deserved it, and I wanted to be able to celebrate you as much as I can. 40th is a big celebration, and so, and I know growing up with, specifically for you, growing up in a household with 2 siblings, you know, like, birthdays were opportunity for you to have focus on you. Mm-hmm. Whereas the rest of the year, majority of the time, it's focused on the family, you know? And so, I wanted you to feel special for your birthday. And so, you know.
Well, thank you. Like, yeah, I think I told you this, growing up, my sister and I had birthdays together. That's how my mom did it.
Yeah.
So.
Don't celebrate your kids' birthdays together.
Especially if they're not like close in age.
If they're not twins, there's no reason.
Yeah. I understand the cost factor, but I think there still needs to be an element of separation, although my sister's the bomb. But yeah, so it is nice to be able to have something that is just for you and that you don't have to share every now and then. I don't think there's anything wrong with enjoying it.
Yeah. So what we got coming up this upcoming year? So your birthday's around the corner.
Yeah,
on it.
Yeah, my birthday's coming up. So is yours. Yours is like 2 weeks after mine.
Well, that needs to be celebrated.
That's
a national holiday.
Yeah, it really is. At least the day before.
The day before.
The day before is. And so by default, if your birthday falls on a Friday or Saturday, your birthday becomes a national holiday.
That is true.
Most people just push it off. Which is what makes it so hard to have birthday parties for him. But I think I mentioned that in the birthday video.
Yeah. I'm putting the tag somewhere, either right here or right here. You can see it.
But yeah, so next year, honestly, the biggest thing for me is graduating.
Hey! Yeah. What you graduating with, baby?
My master's.
With her master's degree?
Yes, my master's degree.
Let's go.
It's been a long time coming. I kept putting it off. Like, I've been at the end for a while, and I kept putting it off because of work and things like that. It's just too much. I need to finish. So I'm going to be graduating in May.
Yes,
Lord willing, everything goes well with this last leg of it.
Post Malone's "Congratulations" is going to be your theme song. I'm telling you that right now.
Gotcha.
Even though you might not like that song, I love that song.
Gotcha. That's probably the biggest thing for me I can think of. And if we are in a different place with this pandemic, maybe a little bit of travel.
Let's go somewhere.
I just want to.
Let's go.
Just want to change the scenery.
Way down to Kokomo, Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh, you not even singing with me?
No.
Ooh, I wanna take you.
That's what we sing. And but no, those are the 2 things for me. What about you?
Well, honestly, one of the things that happened in 2020 that I'm carrying forward into 21 is beauty and beard. Also, I want to bring back Brody's and beard. The guys and I have been talking about getting together and doing more videos as soon as time and space and kids COVID allow Lord allows for us to get together. And we're gonna do a couple videos for Brody's this year. I also started if y'all haven't seen it, I've started working on this project called the Martinsville Project. Me and my friend Hassan.
That is an amazing project.
Yeah, Hassan Davis and Cameron Drew Moore. have been working together on Martinsville is my hometown, and so we're just trying to highlight people from the city who stayed in the city to elevate the city. And so I want to continue working on that. I got the video coming out within the next month, and then we're going to be working on the next project, the next one coming after that. So I definitely want to 2020 during COVID allowed me to be more creative. The Lord has also allowed me to not be as good at Call of Duty as I want to be. It's more frustrating. Man, this new one that just came out, I am not as good as I was and the one that came out 2 years ago. So I am struggle bussing over here right now. And because I'm finding frustration in that, I'm finding creativity, and I'm having more time to focus in other areas. And then I got a lot of ideas for Beauty and Beard. Hopefully a couple more ideas. Shaka asked me the question. I'm not sure if it was today or last night. You were like, do you want to be an entrepreneur, or do
Today.
yeah, was it today?
I think it was today.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. And maybe we'll pursue that for this upcoming year.
In the past couple of years, and I mean, especially this year, and I don't know if it was COVID or actually, I think it was before COVID, because you started doing even just like producing music and things like that a while back. But over the past 2 years at least, and by that I mean 2019, 2020, I have seen an amazing increase in your production ability. So like even in putting the podcast together, and like you said, Brody and the Beard and things like that, and the Martinsville project, like, yo, my husband's skills, I'm
put
gonna
them all together
give
like that. That's a lot.
a shout out to you for that. My husband's skills have gone up.
Hey,
like your stock has so increased. But it's been amazing watching him grow in this area and do something that he really loves. Like, I knew coming into this marriage that he was really good musically and lyrically and producing that, but then to just see how it's developed in these airways, like looking at podcasts and even the video portion of it and stuff like that, it's amazing. And he is, for the most part, if I'm correct, you are self-taught. Exactly. And
I took a 10th grade video production class working on VHS.
Yeah.
No, dead serious.
Well,
like we were
I
loading
was working
the VHS
on 8-track.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, like the tail end of it. So, yeah. So literally when I asked him, do you want to be an entrepreneur? It was, I'm watching my husband develop these other projects and things like that have the ability to really become a primary focus and even lucrative. But the best part about it is you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
And like, he's doing all of this stuff with no compensation, with no additional push or drive. These are things that my husband is focusing on and saying, I want to get it done. And so even the nights he stays up and edits because he commits to a deadline and getting stuff out, like there's no manager or production company behind him pushing him to have these things released by a certain date. Like, that's his drive. That's pure desire and passion. So I'm like all behind it.
When you say it like that, it makes it seem like I'm super dope.
Yeah, I just did my wife plug and scene.
That I paid her to do that. That was all payment. But yeah, that was 2020. 2021, that's what those are some of the plans that we want to do for 2021.
Yeah.
We don't know what this year holds.
So another thing I'm going to add a little part into. So we mentioned all the stuff that happened in 2020 with us, and obviously, like I said, everyone has a story, from the fostering to even there was a job aspect. Like stuff that happened at work that we didn't.
There's a lot of crazy stuff that happened at work.
Crazy and crazy with a capital CRAZY why, like, why did that happen?
Lowercase y, then 2 more capital Y's.
And then WHY. Like, and all of you out there in the, you know what we're talking about. But in addition to that, you know, we, this past weekend, had an interesting interaction. Not really. We went to the mall, and we were there with an active shooter.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to know more about that experience, you'll have to watch.
I'm not sure which one is going to come out first, this one or the other one. But if you're watching this one and you haven't seen what Shaka just now talked about, then go look for the video that says After Christmas.
Yes.
After Christmas podcast. And so, yeah, we go into that one in detail. Great plug.
Yeah, I'm learning. You know, I am.
Good job. But with all that being said, I think that pretty much brings us to a conclusion of our Happy New Year's.
Yeah. What are? Did you mention all the stuff that you feel is going to happen in 2021 for you?
Yeah, being creative, exploring the video aspect, watching you graduate, that's going to be amazing. And there's some other things that I'm trying to work on, but I care not to talk about that right now publicly. Right now, I will talk about it eventually, but just not right now. And it's not that I'm trying to be secretive or anything like that, but it's not necessary to talk about right now. But other than that, man, I'm excited to see you graduate.
Yeah.
And I just want to, I want this to be a time or a year in which I'm not working or operating in fear. Fear and self-doubt and things of that nature have been some of the hardest anchors that have been, that some of the heaviest anchors that have been holding me back from actually pursuing like the creative side of myself. And I've looked at my family. I gave my little cousin Princess Spencer a hug one time because she's doing such amazing things with her drawings and stuff. And I was just like, man, you're amazing. And you inspire me to want to do more. And there's a lot of creativity in my family. And I didn't even realize that. Yeah. And I was like, why do I always have like these creative type of things? And so because of that, I just want to explore more of that this year and to live a year without limitation.
Yeah.
And the limitation that I've put on that has been on me has been the limitation of me. I've been my biggest enemy. And so I just don't want to hold me back anymore. Letting fear hold me back and just doing it. You know what I'm saying? Just at least trying, just doing it. And if I fail, I fail. And then I can always look back at that failure and say, hey, at least I tried.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I never want to live a life looking back as like, man, a life of regret, as if I wish I never want to say, I wish I would have done this. And so I just want to explore those things and just go about it like that.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. And I definitely want to stand beside you and encourage you to do all of that because you're amazing. I'm so proud of you.
And I want to see you graduate.
Yeah.
And pursue your career and your graduation.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't talk about this.
Wow.
We're not going to talk about it, but I'll talk about it in another video. But in our video 2 videos ago, the video called And Surprise, something like that. Oh no, Troy's going to counseling. I made the announcement that I was going to counseling, and your boy went to counseling.
He did.
I did. I think I did 4 sessions so far, maybe 5. My counselor and I are going to meet in January, this January, to do 2 more sessions and make the determination if we need to go forward or something like that. But it's been really, really good for me. Actually, let me take about 5 minutes to talk about this, and then we'll peace out. Okay, let me do that.
Okay.
And I went to counseling, super dope. Um, one of the hindrances in going to counseling at first was finding the perfect counselor. I needed to find somebody that was older than me, that's a black male who grew up in the hood. Like, it was a whole bunch of stuff that was holding me back. And eventually I was just like, man, forget it. I couldn't find the perfect one unless I wanted to do virtual counseling. But I actually wanted to do one-on-one counseling with somebody physically, and there was a counseling center locally that was able to do it. I was able to go there, meet with my counselor. He's been super duper dope. He's a guy that's actually he's got a couple strikes against him. One, he's younger than me. But he knew how to handle me. Mm-hmm. This is how you handle Troy in counseling session. You ask me one question and then you shut up. And I couldn't believe it. I talked for such a period of time. I was like, man, I've been talking for this long. I'd never known for myself to talk for that extensive amount of time uninterrupted. And he was just poking the fire and just pulling things out and stuff. That was going on inside of me and stuff like that, and it's been really, really good. And so for those people who that was a hindrance, a limitation I put on myself was, and we spoke about this before, you're not going to counselors because we in the black community, in some communities, young men or whatever the case may be, to go into counseling is a taboo. Mm-hmm. And so I took that limitation off. I was like, hey, I'm going to counseling. And I went to counseling. I've even made some posts about some of the points that were made in our counseling that were really, really good on my Facebook page. And so, yeah, I encourage anybody who wants to pursue that to actively pursue it. My sessions were fairly inexpensive. When you think of it's fairly inexpensive when you think about it in this light. If your mental health is valuable to you, you're willing to pay the cost to make sure it's well taken care of. And so I found the cheapest one. No, I found a quality counselor who's been able to help me through working through a life hang up that I had that was triggered from work. And so yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. It was. He comes home and he really, I can tell that there's a difference. Like, he talks about, this is what we talked about today, and my counselor said such and such, and it was so profound. And Troy is a kind of individual too. You just have to like drop a few nuggets of knowledge to show, and he will like come out with a whole dissertation, but a complete understanding of what you said or what you meant or the different things that could have meant. So he always has something to say when he comes back about the sessions. I could definitely tell.
Yeah, it was dope. So that was our 2020.
Yeah. Can I do one more plug?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. And so another thing that happened this year, and this is just going to be a plug because I know you guys probably are curious about what we think if we haven't really mentioned it before. But 2020, there was a lot of racial tension. Mm. And a lot of stuff happened that we have had a privilege of being able to speak. We've had a time to process and think about it, but we've also been involved in some conversations and stuff like that. And so I can't close out in 2020 without being, I guess, intent. What's the word I want to say? Without mentioning the fact that this year also was a very heavy year of racial tension.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Even with COVID. And so Troy and I did share our opinion about that in a video that we were invited to do.
Yes. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to put video 1 here and video 2 right here, if that allows me to link it to it. But go ahead.
Yeah. And so that's what I wanted to say. I don't want to close out today without people like, wait a minute, there's the most obvious thing. You're 2 African Americans sitting in a chair talking to the world, and you don't mention the racial tension. Trust me.
Yeah.
We had something to say.
Yeah, we definitely did. And
shout out to the individuals who gave us the opportunity to share our story.
Our church actually gave us the opportunity to share the story. And because we shared at length in those videos, we'll give you the opportunity to check those videos out and holler at us if you have any questions or feedback, or whatever the case may be. Let's have that conversation. I think one of the things this year that happened in 2020 is it should have been the year. First of all, it was a year of exposure. It exposed a lot of things. But one of the things I wish it could have been, when I think it has been to a certain extent, it has been the year of new conversations, conversations we haven't had, or we have had them before, but a lot of people haven't been given an opportunity to be a part of it, because we've always watched our the people before us, the people who are older than us, have those conversations. We're those people now. We're those people now who are having those opinions and having those discussions. And so for those people who are new to it, let's have more of those conversations. I love the dialogue. I keep my pages open, my Messenger open, my Instagram open, everything open to give everybody opportunity to. I like to be accessible, and so if we want to have that conversation, let's do that. Yeah,
let's chop it up.
Let's chop it up. Hey, well, here's the 2021. Prayerfully, this will be a year of remarkable, off the chain blessings for us all. And hope prayerfully by this time next year, we'll be able to talk about some of those magnificent things.
Yeah. I think in 2021, the one thing I plan to do more of is enjoy each day.
Enjoy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Just enjoy each day. I want to stop and smell the roses.
Smell those roses.
Yeah.
Come over here, you funky roses. I don't think roses smell good.
I think they do.
I don't think but that's neither here nor there. From myself and from me, Troy, and my wife,
Shaka,
we want to wish you all a happy new year.
Happy New Year.
May God bless you.
Love you guys. Love you too.
Love you. Great job. That was really good. Yeah, that was good. That was good.